Hello, everyone. I'm Dan Kennedy from the 11Alive Streaming Center. What a week it has been for news here in Georgia. Quite a bit happened. So let's get you caught up. 11Alive news this week. And we start in Barrow County, where the community is still reacting after the landmark guilty verdict in the trial of Colin Gray, the father of the accused Appalachia High School shooter. Jurors reached their decision in just under 2 hours, convicting Colin Gray on all 27 counts. They found that he knew his teenage son Colt posed a danger to others, but still allowed him access to a gun. 11Alive's Angelina Salcido has more.
We are inspired by our students, whose courage and fortitude have been evident.
A community working to heal,
to ensure that what they have faced does not take more from them than it already has.
More than a year after a deadly mass shooting took 4 lives at Appalachia High School, a jury found Colin Gray, the father of the accused teen shooter, guilty on all counts.
Murder in the second degree, we the jury find the defendant guilty.
Prosecutors said Gray ignored warning signs and allowed his son access to the gun used in the attack.
It wasn't like one parent missed one warning. This was multiple warnings over a lengthy period of time. You just had to do one thing and take that rifle away.
Investigators say the case took more than a year of interviews, evidence, and testimony, building a timeline to show a pattern of concerning behavior.
A lot of work that we put in to gather those facts, a lot of little details that gathered those facts, culminated in today.
Anything else we need to address today?
As deputies took Gray into custody, Barrow County Sheriff Judd Smith called the verdict an emotional moment for his community.
We're still reeling from the tragedy. Our community is still struggling, but it helps us heal knowing that a little bit of justice was served today.
But Judd says the legal process is far from over.
Our work today was completed with Colin, and the second half will be completed when Colt is prosecuted.
For district leaders, the verdict is a step on the long road toward healing.
We will continue to heal, to support one another, and to overcome. And we will never forget.
Angelina Salcido, 11Alive News.
And while Colin Gray's trial is over, there are more legal challenges ahead. Let's get this part of the story from 11Alive's Grace King.
It's hard to explain what took place on September 4th, 2024.
How the hell is he going to walk across the yard with a long rifle and get on a bus?
Authorities say 14-year-old Colt Gray wrapped an AR-style rifle in poster board, took it on a school bus, and throughout Appalachia High School, virtually undetected.
I heard a voice that said he's got a gun.
His first period teacher, Suzanne Harris, emailed administrators at 8:46, concerned about a new kid, asking about active shooter drills. By 9:50, she testified she was in the front office, talking to Assistant Principal Dee Martin.
She told me that the book bag looked heavy and that she felt like there was definitely something in there.
But on the stand, Martin acknowledged they didn't know or ask what Colt Gray looked like, other than this 4th grade yearbook photo. And they accidentally questioned a different student with an almost identical name.
So he had been missing then for 32 minutes, correct?
Correct.
Video shows the right Colt Gray was in the bathroom until 10:22.
I saw that it was him and that he had a gun.
Jurors convicted Colin Gray, Colt's father, on 27 counts, including second-degree murder, for providing the firearm used after sufficient warning his son could harm others. But the legal action won't stop there.
It goes farther than just Colin Gray. It goes to accountability on all those involved.
Attorney Mike Pugliese represents the family of Mason Schermerhorn, one of the students killed, and Taylor Jones, one of the students shot in pending civil suits.
There was a lot of information gained from that trial, the testimony given. School officials knew from what a teacher's testimony was at approximately 8:50 in the morning that they had a problem on their hands.
He wants policies and procedures to change so nothing like this happens again.
It just didn't die yesterday with a verdict. It goes on, and then we can make progress and we can make change in this system.
Grace King, 11Alive News.
Some in Atlanta say a homeless encampment has grown out of control. It's over by Grady Hospital, and 11Alive's Chase Howe visited the encampment this week and reports on what's being done to clean it up.
This is sad. Look at the street. The street this woman on TikTok is referring to is Bell Street, otherwise known as Coca-Cola Place near Grady Hospital. Underneath the I-85 overpass there is a homeless encampment where you can find everything from tents to discarded couches and mounds of trash. So much of it, people are forced to walk in the street rather than the sidewalk.
I've seen more individuals, but actually like more extravagant setups as far as mattresses and tents and blankets and things like that.
Michelle Richardson isn't the only one. Several people I talked to off camera say despite people living there being told to leave, they always make their way back. Until now, after the city put up a sign saying it was closing the encampment starting Friday.
The Bible don't tell you love your neighbor unless they're a crackhead. It says love your neighbor.
Xania Zander says she's been living in this tent under the overpass since December. But now with the encampment closing, Zander isn't sure where she'll end up.
Probably have to sleep outside of either Hurt Park or Woodrow because they don't leave us anywhere we can go. You go to the front of a store just to get out of the rain, they'll send the ambassadors to run you off. They don't care if you're drenched.
I reached out to the city to see how it plans on helping those living underneath the overpass after the encampment is closed, but never heard back. And while Richardson wants the area cleaned up, she hopes the people get the help they need.
I wish that we had more resources for the homeless. I wish that we had more opportunities for homeless and behavioral health, because sometimes that's what causes individuals to be homeless. So I would like to see more of those resources.
Reporting, Chase Howell, 11Alive News.
Now we go to Fulton County, where there is a new plan being implemented aimed at reducing the population of the troubled Fulton County Jail. This decision, though, did not come without controversy after some commissioners said they didn't have enough information for this vote. Ariana Manise has more on what's included in this proposal.
The plan passed in a split 4-3 vote by the Fulton County Board of Commissioners. Chairman Rob Pitts introduced this 5-point proposal, all in an effort to reduce the jail population by more than 800 people. The proposal includes several measures designed to keep people accused of low-level offenses out of the Fulton County Jail. One part of the plan creates a last chance diversion hub, which would allow some people to avoid being booked into the facility. Now, other initiatives include expanding the use of ankle monitors, sending text reminders for court dates, lowering some bond amounts, and reviewing inmates being held on other conditions. The combined measures are projected to reduce the jail population by hundreds of people, with some programs alone expected to cut the population by 100 to 500 inmates. This plan comes as the jail is in a legal agreement with the Department of Justice to bring the jail into compliance with federal law. But some commissioners said they were concerned the plan was brought forward without enough data or consultation with the sheriff who runs the jail, while other commissioners in favor of this plan says they have to start somewhere to address the issue.
How in the world are we going to take any action when nobody got not one scintilla of information? The sheriff wasn't even contacted about this alleged plan.
This is a plan that will help decrease the jail population. And is that what we want? Or we want to pontificate and say, well, I didn't see this and I didn't see that. You saw the DOJ report. You saw it. You talked about it.
Yeah, you hear the passion from both sides on this issue. Now, in a statement, Sheriff Pat Labatt said he supports efforts to reduce the population at the Fulton County Jail, calling it a priority since he took office in 2021. But he also says that 3 of the 5 proposals are already in place, and also says future plans should involve more collaboration with the Sheriff's Office. Reporting live in the newsroom, I'm Ariana Manise for 11Alive.
Hey, more news after this. You're watching 11Alive News This Week on 11Alive Plus. Now to Gwinnett County, where a request to build more than 200 homes and duplexes has community members concerned there. Gilat Malamed explains why.
The owner here at Yellow River Wildlife Sanctuary says that development would be a few hundred feet away from his property, and there are several reasons why that concerns him and others when it comes to the well-being of these animals. Bears, bison, and many animals in between call Yellow River Wildlife Sanctuary home. A rezoning request could mean new neighbors.
We're basically a sanctuary for all those animals and a sanctuary for people as well.
Jonathan Ordway is the sanctuary's owner. He's concerned about a plan for homes on this vacant land just beyond the sanctuary's trees. The rezoning request is for 280 housing units. More than half would be townhomes. Ordway worries about the animals' safety due to noise, children trying to sneak onto the property, and pets ending up on the property too.
Cats and dogs, they carry certain parasites that if they were to sneak onto our property, we have a lot of endangered species that could be at risk.
Earlier this week, Ordway attended a community meeting with developers. In its application, the developer says its proposal is in line with the county's plans for that area, writing it's providing alternative and affordable housing types to give more choices that meet a variety of residents' needs. Yellow River Water Trail Chairman Mark Wilson.
The biggest issue this river has right now is stormwater runoff.
Is concerned that will become worse with new homes near the river.
It's parking lots and roofs. It's going to be a huge flush of water into the river. Now they do have a sizable retention pond.
Ordway worries about the runoff too, but his number one concern is
it has to do with keeping this place here, because if I can't guarantee the safety of my animals and I can't guarantee the safety of our neighbors, we're going to have to leave. So that keeps me up at night.
According to the county's website, as of now, the Planning Commission is set to review this rezoning application in May. In Gwinnett County, Gilad Malamed, 11Alive News.
Well, the leadership of the Hall County Sheriff's Office is in question right now. The department's still not saying whether Sheriff Gerald Couch will stay in his position, face suspension, or perhaps resign following his DUI arrest last week. 11Alive Savannah Levins brings us up to speed.
Sheriff Couch was driving his county-issued vehicle when he was pulled over around 10:30 Friday morning, according to the sheriff's office. He spent about 5 hours in jail before being released on bond. He was pulled over by his own deputy, who noted the sheriff's vehicle was failing to maintain its lane. That deputy reported smelling a strong smell of alcohol and observed clear signs of impairment. Now, due to the conflict of interest concern here, the deputy called in Georgia State Patrol to be the official investigating agency, which is standard protocol in cases like these. And it does happen. In 2024, our team published an investigation into law enforcement officers arrested for DUI. We found an average of 58 Georgia law enforcement officials are arrested for DUI every year. Now, how these cases are handled differs. The agency that employs the officer is in charge of making decisions about reprimands, including whether or not to fire them, put them on leave, require a drug and alcohol program, etc. Now, since a sheriff's position is elected, formal reprimands would have to come from the state level. Georgia Post, the Peace Officers Standards and Training Council, maintains officer certification. Post Director Chris Harvey told me the agency generally does not revoke certifications for DUI. Here's more from that interview.
This council has taken a basic position that if an officer is involved in a DUI from a post perspective, they're generally given a chance to accept probation, pay a fine, usually attend some drug or alcohol awareness training, and then continue on with their career.
Harvey told me today that Post will investigate Sheriff Couch's arrest the same way it would for any other officer and will decide on any possible sanctions after that investigation concludes. We found of the 290 officers arrested for DUI between 2019 and 2024, 30 eventually had their post certifications revoked, ending their law enforcement careers. Most of those revocations were due to additional circumstances, like causing injury or damage to property, lying to try to cover it up, previous history of reprimands, and yes, in some cases, getting that DUI in their agency-issued vehicle. Now, I could not find any records in Georgia history of another elected sheriff being arrested for DUI. So this case and what comes of it could set a major precedent in our state. Now, as far as Sheriff Couch's criminal charge goes, I have confirmed tonight that the Hall County Solicitor has filed a conflict of interest letter with the state, so the Prosecuting Attorney's Council of Georgia will appoint someone to the case. Again, as an elected official, a sheriff cannot be fired, but Georgia law allows the governor to call for an investigation that could lead to a sheriff's suspension or removal.
MARTA about to launch a major restructuring of its bus network. The next-gen bus network is responding to increased demand, and it could mean some big changes for your route. Our traffic reporter Doug Turnbull explains how it all works.
Some big changes are coming to your bus route that may see buses actually come more often.
So we've redesigned the entire bus network essentially to focus more on frequent service. We'll have over 3 times as many routes running every 15 minutes or better, just about every day of the week, all day.
MARTA's calling it the Next Gen Bus Network, and it launches on April 18th. 17 MARTA routes will see buses every 15 minutes, and another dozen will have them every 20. Even on weekends and off hours, routes will have more consistent arrivals than before. And as Van Sickle has talked to passengers,
generally people are happy with the increased frequencies that they're seeing.
but there also is stress over the changes. So MARTA encourages people to go to itsmarta.com/nextgen and use the trip planner, where they can plug in start and end points. At the expense of adding service on busy routes, MARTA is discontinuing buses in areas with less demand, but they're replacing traditional routes with on-demand service vans called MARTA Reach, which picks passengers up at their doorsteps.
Somewhat kind of like an Uber pool or a ride-sharing service. You'll be able to use an app, make a phone call, use our website, and essentially request a ride that will come pick you up and take you curb to curb within a zone within 30 minutes or less.
These vans will also connect riders in these 12 zones on longer trips to other MARTA services. Passengers in wheelchairs will also be able to use MARTA Reach, and it will cost the same $2.50 fare as buses and trains. All riders will still get 4 transfers in 3 hours. Van Sickle and other MARTA ambassadors have been setting up in places affected, like the Kensington station in DeKalb County, to answer riders' questions ahead of this major change. Doug Turnbull, 11Alive News.
You know, it can take years of saving up and building credit to finally buy that home and fulfill the American dream. As our Joe Ripley reports, there's a company called Roots, and they're working to make that process a little bit easier.
Years later. Jabria Smith and Will Moreno are building a life together. The two have a little girl, they're engaged to be married, and they're planting the seeds to own a home.
So we're paying about $1,800 for rent, and that's outside of like the other bills.
Right. After several moves and some help from their parents, the couple connected with Roots Wealth Building Rewards Program.
It's a financial wellness platform that incentivizes behavior around people achieving their financial goals.
Roots is a real estate investment company that started in 2021. Partner Jory Mendel says rising home prices and higher interest rates have denied many a chance at the American dream.
Home ownership, as we know, has been truly the pathway towards building generational wealth. But unfortunately, it's really become inaccessible to so many people.
Mendel says renters can earn investable rewards while paying their rent, repairing their credit, and investing in themselves.
Most of us, we didn't get financial education around the kitchen table. Doesn't matter where we were raised or how we were raised. So we start with some of the basics: budgeting, debt, what is investing, how do I save?
This family of 3 is digging deep to provide a better life, one with more financial stability and a budding future.
And before we were ripping our hair out, like, how are we going to pay for this and then food and stuff like that. And now it's just like we have way more money in our pocket and I even have to worry about all of that.
Set a goal, work towards the goal, and really work towards the goal.
Mm-hmm.
And you can own a home.
And more news after this. You're watching 11Alive News this week on 11Alive Plus. We are under 100 days out from the FIFA World Cup. Atlanta hosting 8 matches, including a semifinal at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And FIFA officials in our city this week, they are getting ready. 11Alive's Molly Oak takes us inside the final stretch of World Cup prep.
Welcome to Atlanta.
So this is really the final stretch of our preparations for the FIFA World Cup.
And the largest one at that, hosted by Mexico, Canada, and the U.S.
We come from the smallest footprint of a World Cup we had in Qatar to the biggest across, 3 countries, 16 host cities.
Atlanta, one of those cities.
I think what makes Atlanta very special, at least for myself, is the hospitality. Southern hospitality is not just a myth, but I got to experience it firsthand. And, everybody is excited in Atlanta for the World Cup, and Atlanta shows up like not many other cities do.
That's FIFA's Chief Event Operations Officer. And this is the workshop. Representatives from 40 of the qualified teams are here to talk logistics.
We have a huge staffing operations. We will have around 3,000 people working on the FIFA World Cup on the FIFA side of things, and really monitor, all sorts of aspects from, logistics to general preparation, safety, security, transport, air transport, all of those aspects.
All ahead of the overwhelming interest in the World Cup.
Vast interest, and this is obviously a great situation to be in because it shows, what an attractive property the FIFA World Cup is and how exciting it is for people to come here and to experience this tournament.
Molly Yoke, 11Alive News.
Sticking with sports, at North Atlanta High School, the varsity boys basketball team is getting some attention, and not just for its play on the court, but also for the leadership on the sidelines. Danielle Nottingham reports.
Oh, there we go. Come on, shoot 2 in a row. 2 in a row.
Even in the off season,
You got it. That's 1.
North Atlanta boys varsity basketball coach Crystal Wells keeps her players in step.
1 more. Come on, hit another one. I never really said if it was going to be a man's team or a women's team. I always wanted to coach in the WNBA and the NBA, but I never really thought that it was such a big deal until it actually started happening. Just, you got to get 2. Give them some good footage. There it is. See?
What happened is Coach Wells became part of a small group, one of the only known women serving as head coach of a varsity boys team in Georgia.
I used to walk in rooms and gyms and they're like, hey, the parent section is up there. Or, hey, the girls team already left. Like, no, I'm here for the guys.
Coach Wells knows the game well. She played college basketball and has coached at the collegiate level. In her first season leading North Atlanta's boys program, the team racked up 19 wins and made a run to the state playoffs.
Season was amazing. We ended it on a loss, unfortunately, but everything comes to an end. The kids played extremely hard.
And for Wells, the focus isn't on being different. It's on building a strong program and helping her players succeed on and off the court.
I try to teach real life lessons, and I just think this is what God called me to be, so I'm glad that I'm able to be one of the first. If I'm not the first, one of the first, or the one that everybody knows is to be the first. So it's exciting. I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be.
In Atlanta, Danielle Nottingham, 11Alive News.
I ain't never lied. Keep the camera going. Let's go. I ain't never lied. Ah!
An incredible moment of kindness at the Atlanta airport is now helping children across the nation. You see, there's this waitress who helped save a little boy from a complete meltdown. The boy's mom filmed the interaction. Let's check it out.
Ever see an act of kindness completely change someone's day? This one at Atlanta's airport is now helping families across the country. A TGI Fridays waitress, Brittany Bell, noticed a mom whose little boy was totally melting down after a long day of travel. So she scooped him up, carried him around the restaurant, even grabbed him some cherries from the back. His mom, Shalene, shared that video online, and it went bonkers. People were so moved, they raised $12,000 for Princess Belle, as her kids now call her. But they didn't stop there. Shalene launched the No Fear Foundation to support moms facing critical medical diagnoses during pregnancy, and Brittany joined her to help grow the mission. Together, they designed a shirt to raise money for moms in crisis. I love you in sign language across the front, and kindness is the cure on the back. Perfect for Brittany, whose heart sparked this whole thing. One waitress helping a tired mom turned into something helping families across the country. Proof that one moment of kindness can travel farther than any flight ever could.
Thanks for watching 11Alive News this week. I'm Dan Kennedy. We'll do it again next week. More news on the way, coming up next.